Stop whatever you're doing. This moment is not ordinary. It is divine, and your entire future hinges on what I am about to reveal. You've been scrolling, rushing, surviving, trying to hold it all together while the noise of the world drowns out the voice you desperately need to hear, mine. I did not let you come across this message by accident. Heaven has orchestrated this second for one purpose: to interrupt the downward spiral of fear, confusion, guilt, and exhaustion that's been silently controlling your life. You have no idea how close you are to a divine turning point. This is not a time for delay, doubt, or hesitation. This is not another motivational word. This is not another emotional push. This is a spiritual alarm that I, the King of Kings, have sounded personally for you. What I'm about to release over your life will not just comfort you. It will command change, expose lies, and unleash the direction you've been begging me for behind closed doors. I've watched you try to carry what was never yours to hold. I've seen you give your energy to everyone else while silently bleeding inside. You smile, but I know you're breaking. You serve, but I know you're tired. You pretend, but I know you're drowning. And that is why I had to step in now, because what comes next cannot wait. The enemy has set a trap just ahead of you. But if you stay still and lean in right now, I will disarm it before your foot even comes near. I am speaking to the wounded part of you that cries at night and doesn't tell anyone. I am addressing the locked part of your heart that shut down because it got tired of hoping. And I am commanding all spiritual interference to be silenced so you can finally hear me, not through a storm, not through thunder, but through a gentle whisper that will shatter every chain. You are about to be repositioned, not in your strength but in mine. This is not about deserving, it's about destiny. You thought I was ignoring you, but I was preparing this interruption. You thought I had moved on from you, but I was waiting for this moment when your heart would be soft enough to listen. So listen, not with fear, but with full expectation. You have just stepped into holy ground. The atmosphere around you is shifting. Your room, your heart, your mind, they're all aligning with what I'm releasing now. I am about to address things you haven't spoken of in years. I am about to pull out what religion buried and what trauma silenced. I am about to breathe on the dream you thought was dead. But I need your undivided attention. Not a part of your heart, but all of it. Because what I am saying next is not just truth. It is deliverance, strategy, healing, instruction, and revival all at once. This is the message that hell hoped you'd miss. This is the breakthrough that darkness tried to delay. This is the beginning of a conversation that will not just restore you but reroute your entire path. You don't need another sign. This is it. You don't need to ask for confirmation. I am speaking plainly. So stop doubting. Stop second-guessing. Stop postponing obedience. Fix your focus. Eliminate distractions. Open the deepest part of your heart. Because what I am about to say next will not only break every lie that's been spoken over your identity, but it will unlock the doors you forgot you were waiting to walk through. And I am not asking for your attention just to inspire. I am demanding it because this next word is a rescue. You've been exhausting yourself chasing what looks like progress, but it's leading you further away from the place I designed for you to flourish. I'm not impressed by motion that's misaligned with purpose. The pace you're running at has been applauded by people, but it's bankrupting your soul. You've made plans, plotted timelines, crafted goals, but none of them invited me in. And now you feel the ache. You're tired, but you don't know why. You're surrounded, yet you feel alone. That's not how I created you to live. I see how you've been trying to convince yourself that if you just keep going, it will all eventually make sense. But deep down, you know something is off. That's not confusion. That's conviction. That's me gently but firmly tugging at your heart to say, stop running toward things I never called you to. I am not in that relationship you're forcing to work. I'm not in that plan you built from fear. I'm not in that environment you keep returning to because it feels safe. I am standing on a different path, one that requires surrender before movement. This is not about speed, it's about submission. I am not asking you to run faster. I'm asking you to pause, because a divine redirection is on the table right now. You don't have to keep pretending you have clarity when all you have is chaos. I never required you to figure it out on your own. I required you to follow me. And I'm not hiding. I'm right here, calling you by name with urgency. Because every step forward without my voice is a step deeper into emptiness. I know the route that leads to peace. I designed it. You've been trying to reach your destiny without first confronting your direction. It ends now. I will not let you waste another day moving toward a counterfeit calling. You were never meant to live on autopilot. You were designed to walk with me, hand in hand, breath by breath. So let me reorder your priorities. Let me remove what's pulling you off course. Let me dismantle the illusion that busyness equals obedience. I am not impressed by your schedule. I'm concerned about your soul. You're afraid that if you stop now, you'll fall behind. But what if the very place you've been trying to reach is not even where I want you to arrive? Wouldn't you rather be 5 steps behind in my will than 1,000 steps ahead in your own? This is your divine U-turn. I am not condemning you. I am calling you back to alignment. There's a reason your spirit has been restless, why your dreams have felt heavy, why your prayers seem to bounce back empty. It's not because I've left you. It's because I've been waiting for you to come back to the path where I can guide you clearly. You followed voices that sounded spiritual but weren't sent by me. You've leaned on your understanding when my word was always the map. But I don't need you to explain yourself. I need you to respond. The time for drifting is over. The window for correction is open now. If you trust me, I will reroute you without shame. I will restore the time that misdirection stole. I will redeem the parts of your life you thought were disqualified because of wrong turns. Your story is not a failure. It's about to become a testimony of how grace meets you at the crossroads. But you must slow down. Don't confuse movement with momentum. Let me become your compass again. Every breakthrough you've been begging for is found in this one decision, to stop going your way and start following mine. And I promise you this, where I'm about to lead you will not just make sense, it will make history through you. But it all begins with this sacred turning point. Come back to my path before your speed carries you into something you cannot undo. You've been holding things in your heart that were never your assignment to carry. You've picked up burdens that belong at my feet, not on your shoulders. The heaviness you feel isn't proof of your strength. It's a sign you've forgotten that I am the one who carries you. I didn't ask you to fix everyone. I didn't ask you to be the savior of situations that are breaking you in private. I didn't ask you to wear a mask of strength while you're silently collapsing inside. I am the burden bearer, and you've been attempting to play a role that only I can fulfill. That silent pressure you're constantly under. That's not holiness, that's self-reliance. That's the quiet belief that it's all up to you, and if you let go, everything will fall apart. But that belief is not from me. I never called you to operate from burnout. I called you to walk in dependence, not depletion. Look at your hands. They've been gripping expectations, outcomes, fears, timelines, and responsibilities that were never part of your divine assignment. You're afraid to loosen your grip because you think surrender equals failure. But in my kingdom, surrender is the beginning of transformation. If you would simply release what you're clutching, the opinions, the wounds, the silent vows you made to protect yourself, I will place something in your hands that will not exhaust you but elevate you. I didn't design your soul to be crushed under pressure. I designed it to thrive under peace. That constant tension you feel, that inner tightness, it's your spirit trying to tell you that you're out of balance. It's not noble to hold on to pain. It's not holy to carry every crisis on your back. You are not the glue that holds everything together. I am. And right now, I am inviting you to drop the weight, not just emotionally, but spiritually. That internal war you're fighting, the guilt for resting, the fear of being misunderstood, the anxiety over things you can't control, Those are not my burdens. I don't call you by your crisis. I call you by your identity. You are not the fixer. You are not the strong one. You are not the one who can never fall apart. You are my beloved, and I care more about your heart than your performance. Even when you collapse in silence, I'm still holding you in mercy. Even when you try to be strong for everyone else, I'm asking you to be honest with me. You don't have to pretend with me. You can crumble in my arms and know that I will still call you chosen. Your value is not in what you carry, it's in who you belong to. And you belong to me. I know you've been betrayed by those who should have helped carry the load. I know people placed expectations on you that they never intended to lift with you. I know you've been exhausted from smiling while your soul screams for rest. But I see you. I've seen every long night, every forced yes, every time you picked up a weight just so someone else wouldn't feel it. And I'm proud of your compassion, but I'm calling you to wisdom now. Lay it down. Every emotional bag, every unsaid worry, every invisible pressure. Place it in my hands and watch how light your spirit becomes. You were never meant to be this heavy. You were meant to walk in freedom, not fatigue. So come closer, child. Empty your arms. I have rest that will restore you, not just physically, but soul deep. You are not failing by releasing. You are finally healing. And I promise you, what's ahead of you doesn't require what you're dragging behind you. There are voices pulling you in every direction, some loud, some subtle, but all competing for your focus. You've been surrounded by endless opinions, distractions, comparisons, and digital noise that promise clarity but only leave you more uncertain. I see how your heart is craving stillness, yet your surroundings keep pushing motion. I've watched you try to tune me in, but the frequency of this world has drowned out the tone of heaven. You weren't made to thrive in chaos. You were made to recognize my voice like a familiar melody in a crowded room. But you can't do that when every corner of your life is filled with static. That anxious racing in your mind. That overwhelming tension that never truly leaves. It's the sound of cluttered spaces I never asked you to enter. It's not that I've stopped speaking. It's that your ears have been filled with echoes that don't belong to me. The world shouts urgency, but I speak with certainty. The world thrives on confusion, but I lead with precision. You keep hoping for peace, but you haven't withdrawn from the volume of everything else. I'm not asking you to run harder. I'm inviting you to step away. Not forever, but long enough to hear what truly matters. Long enough to detect my whisper in the depths of your soul again. This generation has learned to live with noise like it's normal, but it's not holy. I didn't teach you to survive by numbing your senses. I designed you to hear me clearly, daily, gently. The notifications, the opinions, the rush, all of it is keeping your spirit overstimulated and your discernment dulled. That's why you're confused even after prayer. That's why peace escapes you even after worship. You're feeding your soul 5 minutes of truth and 24 hours of noise. And I love you too much to let you normalize it. Come closer. Closer than comfort, closer than fear. I want to whisper things into your soul that no screen can offer and no influencer can replicate. But I won't compete for space. I won't shout over what you allow to stay louder than me. If you make room, I'll fill it. If you hush the noise, I'll speak. And when I speak, it won't just soothe your heart. It will reroute your entire life. The clarity you've been begging for isn't in more advice. It's in my whisper. The breakthrough you're desperate for won't be found in panic. It will be revealed in stillness. I am not like the others. I do not speak with manipulation. I do not rush your ears. I speak like a lover drawing close, a shepherd calming his lamb, a father leaning in to share a secret with his child. And right now, I'm inviting you to step into a quiet place. Not just physically, but spiritually. Let me pull you into a dimension of silence, where your soul can breathe again. I don't need you to be perfect there. I just need you to be present. Put down the performance. Release the striving. Turn off what demands your attention and gives you nothing in return. Just you and me. In that space, I will begin to uncover mysteries you never imagined. I will reveal healing you didn't know was possible. I will restore parts of your identity that you forgot you had. But first, the noise must go. The loudness of lies, the pressure of pretending, the commentary of people who don't know your calling, none of it can stay in this sacred space. I want to whisper to you again like I did when your faith was young and undistracted. I want to reignite that childlike awe that used to burn so bright before the world grew louder than your wonder. But you must want me more than you want constant stimulation. You must want truth more than you crave entertainment. You must want my voice more than you desire the comfort of fitting in. I'm ready to whisper the next chapter of your destiny, but it starts with you stepping away from the crowd and leaning into my silence. You've asked me why I didn't respond sooner. You've wondered where I was during the moments when pain swallowed your breath and your soul trembled in isolation. I heard your heart cry when your lips couldn't form the words. I saw the nights you buried your face in the pillow, asking if I had turned away. You assumed my silence was absence, but it was precision. I wasn't ignoring you. I was orchestrating something so precise, so divinely timed, that any earlier answer would have been incomplete. You couldn't see it then, but if I had moved before now, the foundation would have cracked under the weight of the blessing I'm about to pour. I needed you to be still while I rearranged everything you couldn't see. You called it silence, but it was sacred restraint. I wasn't punishing you by withholding clarity. I was protecting you from stepping into something premature. You weren't ready then, but you are now. Your heart has been softened by waiting, your discernment sharpened by stillness, your spirit purified by surrender. You've grown in the shadows, even though it felt like abandonment. And I am proud of you, not because you understood everything, but because you kept looking for me even when it seemed like I wasn't there. That kind of trust moves heaven. That kind of hunger unlocks doors that effort never could. Now, listen closely. I've broken the silence, not because I've changed, but because you have. You're no longer the person who needs constant signs to believe. You're the one who's beginning to trust my character even in the fog. You're becoming the one who leans on my promises, even when the process feels delayed. And now that you've come to this posture, where you're not chasing answers more than you're chasing me, I'm ready to speak the next part. My timing has never been random. It's been working for your protection, not against your desires. You see, if I had allowed you to enter that relationship, that opportunity, that door you begged me for months ago, you would have thought it was a reward. But in truth, it would have been a trap. What looked good wasn't sent by me. What seemed right was rooted in compromise. I waited until you could see beyond appearances. And now, I can trust you with revelation. I'm not giving you delayed leftovers. I'm releasing something designed exactly for this version of you. The you that has wrestled, the you that has been pruned, the you that has finally learned to let go. You thought silence meant I stopped working, but I never stopped crafting your breakthrough behind the curtain. I've been placing people in position, aligning resources, rearranging spiritual battles, clearing territories, all while you thought nothing was happening. You asked for proof I was still with you, and I gave you breeze every morning. You asked for signs, and I kept you from destruction more times than you know. And now, this moment is me confirming what you were unsure of all along. I was never far. I was waiting for the right second to unveil what I've been building with my own hands. This is that second. The shift begins now. The silence ends here, and I will not whisper anymore. I will thunder my direction into your life with unmistakable force. You'll begin to feel it. The clarity, the peace, the assurance you thought had vanished. You'll begin to move differently, not because everything is easy, but because you're finally moving with me instead of wondering where I am. And don't be surprised when I start confirming things quickly. You've already paid the price in patience. Your obedience in silence has set the stage for accelerated clarity. So when things start unfolding swiftly, don't question it. Just follow. Don't hesitate. Just obey. I've been waiting for this intersection between your readiness and my revelation, and it has finally arrived. You thought the waiting meant I had closed the door permanently, but I need you to understand something sacred. When I pause, it's never to reject, it's always to position. What felt like a denial was actually me guarding what was growing underground. You couldn't see it, but I've been constructing something far larger than your prayers asked for. If I had answered the moment you asked, you would have settled for a temporary relief instead of the permanent shift I'm about to release. I am not a God who rushes. I am precise, calculated, sovereign. I see the end before the beginning, and every moment of waiting was me positioning you for something beyond your limited expectation. You've been measuring progress with the wrong tools, timelines, approval, applause, but I measure your preparation in stillness, obedience, and yielded trust. The silence you endured wasn't wasted. It stretched your faith so that you could carry the magnitude of what's now arriving. You've been standing on the edge of something unfamiliar, and you thought the delay meant the plan was canceled, but child, it was only being upgraded. I had to hold you back until the exact alignment was ready, spiritually, emotionally, geographically, relationally. If I had pushed you ahead before it all clicked into place, you would have experienced warfare without armor. But now, you're equipped. Your spirit has matured in secret battles. Your perspective has been cleansed of ego. Your motives have been refined by fire. I couldn't release what you prayed for until you were ready to handle it without breaking under its weight. And now you are. Now you can receive not just the provision, but the responsibility. The platform, the influence, the healing, the purpose. It's all been prepared, but not just for you, with you. You were never being punished. You were being developed. The valley didn't steal from you. It trained you. Every detour, every pause, every closed path was me guiding you through a route that confusion couldn't corrupt. You thought you missed your moment, but I'm the author of time. I control every opening, every intersection, every divine appointment. Nothing has passed you by. What's coming hasn't been handed off to someone else. It's been reserved, and now it's being delivered, with your name on it. And when it arrives, you'll realize it wasn't just about what you received. It was about who you became while waiting. That's why the breakthrough will feel different this time, not rushed, not fragile, not forced, but rooted, weighty, undeniable. You won't have to strive to hold on to it. It will fit like it was made for you, because it was. And even though you thought you were being overlooked, I was actually ensuring that nothing and no one could sabotage what I intended for your life. That delay shielded you from stepping into something unfinished. That delay preserved you from trusting the wrong voices. That delay crushed the pride that would have ruined the blessing before it could mature. So now, when it begins, walk in it boldly. Don't drag in the fear of the past. Don't rehearse what didn't happen. Don't shrink under the weight of gratitude. On the arrival, step into it knowing that every second of waiting was sacred ground. I know you didn't see it coming like this. I know you expected one path and I took you on another. But that's because I know the terrain better than you do. I see the storm before it forms. I see the people's hearts before they speak. I know the traps that haven't even been set yet. And I detoured you on purpose, not to frustrate, but to preserve. So let go of the resentment toward the weight. It served you. It saved you. It strengthened you. And now, stand tall, because what's unfolding next is not just an answered prayer. It's a divine setup that's about to leave you speechless. Not a single word you whispered in pain was lost. I gathered every syllable, every groan, every silent plea you thought went unnoticed. While you were waiting for evidence that I heard you, I was already working with what you released in faith. You assumed because there wasn't an instant shift that your prayers vanished into the void. But I want you to know, they never hit the ground. Heaven has an altar where your cries are not only stored, they are honored. The atmosphere of my throne is scented with your perseverance. I didn't ignore your intercession. I treasured it. I didn't discard your petitions. I received them like a fragrance of trust that pierced through the noise of this world and reached the highest courts of glory. I know there were times you prayed without strength, just barely enough breath to whisper my name. I saw you tremble through every "help me" and break through every "why haven't you answered yet?" And I want you to know that every one of those moments was not only seen, they were sacred. Your voice may have trembled, but your faith was thunder in the unseen realm. The enemy hoped to wear you down before you could see the result. He whispered lies that told you I wasn't listening, that nothing was moving, that you were wasting your voice. But I was bending low the entire time, capturing your prayers like priceless oil. You didn't see it, but the shift started the moment you believed I was enough, even when nothing changed around you. That kind of trust moves more than your situation. It moves the heavens. Angels have been dispatched because of the prayers you released through tears. Battles have been turned because of declarations you made when your heart was barely holding on. And I need you to understand this. There is a system in the spirit that operates on divine timing, not human panic. While you were saying, "Lord, did you hear me?" I was saying, "Child, I'm already on it." There are things still unfolding now, slowly in your eyes, but fully active in mine. You didn't just pray into the air. You legislated in the spirit. You decreed hope into rooms filled with despair. You called healing into broken places you couldn't see. You stood on my word even when the ground shook beneath you. And that faith, even as small as a mustard seed, was not weak. It was potent. It was prophetic. It was powerful. That's why the warfare intensified. Because your prayers were not empty rituals. They were dangerous to darkness. They pierced through layers of resistance. They triggered movements you couldn't track. That's why things got harder after you prayed, because the spirit realm responded. And though it looked like silence, I was actually reinforcing your foundation. I was ensuring that the answer wouldn't arrive when you were still too fragile to carry it. I wasn't waiting because you were ignored. I was waiting because you were important. And now, the bowls of intercession that have been filling are tipping. Your words are echoing again, not back at you, but down toward you, wrapped in the form of miracles, instruction, timing, and vindication. Some answers will come in ways you never expected. Some delays will subtly make sense. And some prayers you forgot you even spoke will now reappear in the form of doors you did knock on opening without resistance. But it all started when you chose to keep praying instead of walking away. Your consistency became a key. Your tears became seeds. And your quiet moments of trust have become the very ground I'm about to build something beautiful upon. So don't regret the time you spent in prayer. It wasn't for nothing. It was the blueprint. It was the catalyst. And now, the harvest is starting to rise. You may have become skilled at hiding your pain from others, but I have never been distant from your suffering. Not once did you cry alone. Not once did you collapse in silence without my presence enveloping the room. Those moments when you felt too weak to explain your grief, when the weight in your chest felt too heavy to carry into words, I was there, catching the emotions you couldn't express. Even the tears that never rolled down your face but stayed locked behind tired eyes. I saw them, and they mattered. I didn't need you to cry out loud for me to notice. I didn't need you to break in front of others to qualify for comfort. I didn't wait for you to explain your heartbreak before moving toward you. My love is not delayed by silence. I move at the speed of your ache. What others overlook, I absorb. What others ignore, I cradle. When no one else noticed the quiet pain sitting beside you while you worked, smiled, or served, I did. I leaned in closer each time your heart whispered, "Lord, I don't think I can keep doing this." You didn't need to scream for me to respond. Your smallest sigh was enough to reach my throne. You see, I don't just count your tears. I understand the language they speak. I know which ones were born out of betrayal, which came from loss, which were soaked in confusion, and which carried the deep yearning for answers you never dared to ask. I know how some days you didn't cry because you were strong, but because you had no strength left to hold the pieces together. And still, you pressed on, thinking no one noticed. But I did. And I was never just watching. I've been weaving those unspoken sorrows into the very fabric of your healing. Every drop of pain has purpose when it falls into my hands. Nothing you've wept over has gone unseen or unused. I specialize in turning sorrow into sacred strength. What broke you in one season is becoming the very oil I'll use to anoint your next. What made you feel forgotten is becoming the space where my nearness will overwhelm you. I am not disgusted by your weeping. I am drawn to it. Not because I want you to remain in suffering, but because I'm the only one who knows how to turn it into beauty without asking you to forget it. I don't rush you through your pain. I sit with you in it, until you're ready to rise. And soon, you will rise. Not pretending like it never happened, but rising stronger because of it. You've cried in the dark, but joy will soon meet you in the light. The tears that once soak your pillow will one day water the ground where purpose begins to bloom. People may never fully understand what you went through. They may never see how deeply it cut or how long it lingered. But I do. And I will repay you, not just with blessings, but with restoration that goes deeper than explanation. You won't have to prove to anyone what you endured. I will make the outcome undeniable. I will place evidence in your life so radiant that even those who doubt it will say, "Surely, the Lord was with them." Your pain was not weakness. Your crying was not a sign of defeat. It was a release, and I received it. Now, let me begin exchanging those hidden tears for healing that cannot be hidden. You've poured out more than you've shown, and I'm about to pour back more than you ever expected. I won't let those tears be wasted. They are becoming the very water that will nurture your next breakthrough. Long before you stepped into the battles you're facing now, I had already commissioned help. You may think you're walking into resistance unarmed, but I assure you, heavenly reinforcements have been stationed in the path you're about to take. What you're about to step into isn't unfamiliar to me. I've already gone before you, and my angels have too. These aren't symbols or metaphors. These are real, assigned messengers, positioned at intersections you haven't reached yet. They carry guidance, protection, intervention, and answers. But here's what you must understand. They are sent for alignment, not amusement. They don't appear for distraction, but for direction. They respond to my voice, not your emotions. That's why I'm urging you now, be attentive. Not every open door is divine, and not every delay is a denial. Sometimes my angels are standing still because you're rushing ahead. Sometimes they wait because you've drifted from the frequency I speak on. They are not your servants, they are mine, sent to assist you as you walk with me, not without me. They are activated by obedience, not just desperation. You keep asking, where is the help? But I already gave it. You must now choose to hear what doesn't flatter your flesh, to follow even when logic protests, to trust even when the road seems unmarked. These divine agents are not coming to entertain you. They are coming to enforce heaven's assignment over your life. They are carrying what you've prayed for, but if your heart is too distracted by noise, comparison, or fear, you won't recognize their presence. Some of the detours you've experienced weren't delays. They were angelic interventions steering you away from danger. You thought you were being denied, but you were actually being defended. That sudden peace you couldn't explain. That was a whisper from the unseen. That near disaster that shifted just in time. That was my hand through them. That person you felt led to avoid but couldn't say why. That was discernment ignited by divine warning. But here's the urgency. This next leg of your journey requires sharper discernment. The assignments I'm dispatching now are time-sensitive. If you continue entertaining familiar patterns, you'll miss unfamiliar glory. If you stay stuck listening to old voices, you'll be deaf to the new ones I've sent. I don't want you to walk into what's next unaware of the help that surrounds you. The battle ahead is not just physical. It is strategic, and it will require your spirit to be fully awake. You've cried out for help. Now be quiet enough to receive it. You've begged for breakthrough. Now be still enough to perceive it. I've sent confirmation ahead, but it won't always look like you expect. Sometimes the angelic will arrive through disruption. Sometimes it will look like loss. Sometimes it will come wrapped in a no, because I'm not just guiding you to something. I'm guiding you away from harm. You will begin to sense these divine signals more strongly, a tightening in your spirit, a sudden peace amid pressure, a strong push to pause when everything screams go. Do not ignore these moments. Do not overthink the prompting. You asked for help. Now honor its arrival. Your obedience is the permission they are waiting on. My presence will always confirm what I send, but you must tune out the static. Stop treating my messengers as optional. Stop assuming you can make it on instinct. I never created you to navigate alone. Heaven's assistance isn't a reward for perfection, it's a resource for alignment. Right now, I am mobilizing a movement around your life. What looks like stillness in the natural is a swarm of activity in the spirit. You're about to see divine interruptions, unusual timings, and accelerated connections. Don't fight though. Don't explain them away. Listen. Watch it. Move when I say. Because your next victory doesn't depend on chance. It depends on response. You've been walking through a maze of confusion, pulled in countless directions, constantly wrestling with decisions that leave you drained and uncertain. That fog you've been navigating wasn't just coincidence. It was engineered to wear you down. The adversary has been launching subtle schemes, not always through direct attack, but through detours disguised as harmless choices. He didn't need to destroy you outright, just disorient you enough that you stopped moving in alignment. His greatest weapon against you hasn't been obvious darkness. It's been disguised comfort, exhausting obligations, tempting shortcuts, and thought patterns that slowly distanced you from clarity. That mental fatigue you've carried, that lack of focus, that cycle of starting with passion but ending in confusion. That was all strategic. The goal was simple: to keep you too distracted to hear me, too busy to obey, too emotionally tangled to discern. But I say this with finality: the distraction season ends now. I am confronting what's been pulling your attention, and I'm severing every invisible string that's been tying your focus to things beneath your calling. You are not under attack because you are weak. You've been targeted because you're carrying something weighty, something dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. He saw it before you did, and that's why the distractions increased the moment you started seeking me more seriously. Every time you got close to stepping fully into alignment, chaos erupted, not because you were off track, but because you were too close to clarity. But now, I am illuminating what's been hidden in plain sight. I'm exposing the time thieves, the emotional drains, the mindsets that have been normalized but never ordained. That anxiety that creeps in when you try to sit still, it's not natural. That resistance you feel when you try to pray, it's not random. The persistent urge to stay entertained instead of still, it's not innocent. These aren't personality quirks. They're spiritual blockades. And I'm removing them. I am stripping away layers of mental fog that have been masquerading as harmless distractions but have actually been choking your discernment. You're about to think clearly again. You're about to feel light in your spirit again. You're about to walk in rooms and know exactly why you're there. Because I'm bringing an end to the enemy's confusion campaign. No more chasing things that leave you empty. No more emotional attachments to things I never called you to love. No more being drained by conversations that were never supposed to occupy your day. I'm reordering your appetite. The things that once satisfied you will now lose their grip. I'm recalibrating your rhythm. The noise that used to keep you comfortable will now feel foreign. Because I'm reintroducing you to peace, not the kind that comes from escape, but the kind that comes from full awareness of purpose. I'm calling you into sharpness. I'm waking up the part of you that's been sedated by constant stimulation. I'm restoring your ability to sit with me without needing to be entertained. You're going to hear me again, not through chaos, but through clarity. And yes, it may mean walking away from things that once felt necessary. Yes, it may mean separating from environments that once looked like blessings. But I'm asking for your focus, not your comfort. I'm not interested in competing with distractions. I'm interested in ruling your attention. Because what I'm about to reveal next requires undivided awareness. If you allow me to clear the clutter, I will fill that space with divine direction. But you must choose comfort or clarity, distraction or destiny. I won't force you, but I will call you. And today, I'm calling you higher. Today, I'm calling you back to a place where your heart doesn't feel stretched in 10 different directions. Today, I'm declaring war on everything that's kept your mind too occupied to hear my whisper. You were never meant to live split. You were meant to live whole. And I'm ready to restore your focus, starting now. The days of being paralyzed by what ifs are ending. I've watched fear keep you small in places where you were created to move boldly. I've seen hesitation steal opportunities that were marked with your name. You've battled thoughts that made you question if you were ready, worthy, or enough. But I'm stepping into the very space fear has claimed, and I'm reclaiming your confidence. Not the shallow confidence the world promotes, but the unshakable knowing that I am with you. You've spent too long entertaining internal voices that didn't originate from me. Voices that amplified your insecurities, exaggerated your flaws, and echoed your worst-case scenarios until you forgot what truth sounded like. But now, I am elevating my voice inside of you. I'm restoring the ability to discern my tone, calm, steady, full of authority, yet wrapped in love. Fear roars, but I speak with weight that silences storms. This shift won't come from forcing bravery. It will come from deeper connection. I'm not asking you to act unafraid. I'm inviting you to walk closely enough with me that fear loses its grip. You won't need to fight your way into courage. My presence will produce it effortlessly. Every place where doubt once dictated your decisions is being transformed. I'm rewiring how you think, how you process, how you respond. That pattern of overthinking, I'm dismantling it. That spiral of second-guessing, I'm replacing it with divine instinct. You'll begin to notice the change, not just in your actions, but in your atmosphere. You'll sense it when you enter rooms and no longer shrink back. You'll feel it when the noise that used to shake you will no longer have power over your decisions, because I am bringing you into a season where fear will no longer be your dominant counselor. You've spent too many days second-guessing what I've already confirmed, hesitating at doors I opened, retreating from moments I prepared, not because you lacked desire, but because fear kept whispering lies louder than truth. You've known what I was calling you to, but fear always came dressed in logic, wrapped in doubt, covered in past wounds, echoing voices that made you feel incapable, unworthy, and unsafe. But I am confronting that now. That internal war, where my promises were constantly challenged by your past experiences, is ending. I'm silencing the false evidence that fear built its throne upon in your life. You will no longer be paralyzed by what ifs. You will no longer pause every time boldness is required. The enemy trained your mind to anticipate the worst, but I am retraining your spirit to expect the fulfillment of what I've spoken. I am raising the volume of my presence in your life, not by changing the external circumstances, but by increasing your sensitivity to my leading. What once intimidated you will no longer even disturb your peace. What used to make you shrink back will now cause you to lean forward with authority. The lies that fear screamed about your failure, your past, your identity, your ability, are being drowned out by the truth of who I say you are. I'm not just removing fear, I'm replacing it with clarity. You won't have to try to be brave. You'll simply walk with such conviction in my words that doubt will have no place to attach itself to your mind. You won't even recognize yourself, because the timid version of you is being buried, and a bold, unwavering version is emerging, not from pride, but from presence. I am forming in you the kind of confidence that hell cannot imitate. Confidence rooted in knowing I am with you. I go before you, and I cover you. This new season is not about striving harder. It's about stepping lighter. You'll move with ease, not because the path is empty, but because fear no longer controls your stride. Your steps will be steady, even in unfamiliar territory. Your spirit will be anchored, even when the winds rise. Because you won't be navigating by feeling, you'll be moving by my voice. And I'm going to prove to you just how near I've always been. You will begin to notice how I've been speaking all along, in the quiet urgings, the divine interruptions, the unexpected confirmations. I haven't been silent. Fear was just louder. But now that it's being dismantled, you'll begin to discern me again with accuracy. Your yes will be firmer. Your no will carry conviction. You will not be driven by emotion but by revelation. I'm inviting you into this shift, not a moment of courage, but a lifestyle of trust. This is not temporary relief. It's a permanent recalibration of how you hear, how you move, and how you live. You'll notice the difference. Peace won't just visit, it will dwell. Anxiety won't have space to settle. And when fear tries to knock again, you will open the door. You'll recognize it as foreign, out of place, no longer welcome in a life ruled by my voice. You've prayed for confidence. I'm giving you something better, certainty. Not in yourself, but in me. You've asked for signs. I'm giving you sensitivity. And from this place, you will no longer negotiate with fear. You'll declare truth, walk forward, and watch the chains that once held you dissolve under the sound of my name spoken from your lips. There are connections in your life that were never part of the destiny I authored for you. Some loud, some subtle, but all corrosive to the purity of what I placed within you. You didn't always recognize it, because the damage wasn't instant. It was slow, gradual, hidden behind smiles, routines, emotional ties, and familiar comforts. But I've been watching what you couldn't see, how certain people and patterns have been leaking toxicity into the places where I intended legacy to grow. And now I'm stepping in. I'm not removing out of punishment. I'm pruning for protection. There are behaviors you've normalized that are quietly eating away at your clarity. There are voices you keep allowing access that are clouding what I'm speaking. You've gotten used to dysfunction wearing the mask of friendship. You've tolerated compromise because it didn't scream rebellion. But I see the truth beneath the surface. And I'm severing what you won't. I'm disrupting what's been distracting you. This is why certain relationships feel strained right now. Why some connections are breaking down without obvious reason. It's not always betrayal. Sometimes it's intervention. Sometimes it's me redirecting you before you build a future on faulty alliances. Not everyone you started with is meant to finish with you. Not every familiar face is carrying loyalty in their heart. Some were sent to your life for a season, but you've kept them for too long. Their presence hath been contaminating your confidence. Their influence has diluted your discernment. And while you've been trying to preserve peace with them, you've been losing peace within yourself. I won't let that continue. Because your calling matters more than keeping things comfortable. I didn't create you to live dependent on voices that keep you stuck. I didn't anoint you so you could please everyone at the expense of your assignment. And it's not just people. I'm confronting the habits that have been hiding beneath the surface. Cycles that feel familiar but aren't fruitful. Routines that look harmless but are rooted in avoidance. I'm shining a light on the internal agreements you made with lies. The ones that told you to play small, to never speak up, to settle because it's safer than starting over. I'm unraveling those quiet agreements you made with fear. The ones that told you, this is just who I am, or things will never change. I never wrote those words over your life. Those beliefs have been silently poisoning the potential I placed within you. So don't resist the shaking. I'm not tearing things down to hurt you. I'm clearing the ground so something unshakable can rise. I'm not exposing these things to shame you. I'm revealing them so they no longer have power over you. The grief you may feel as some relationships fade or certain rhythms break apart is valid. But don't confuse loss with failure. Sometimes subtraction is the first sign of realignment. What feels like disconnection is often divine redirection. I'm not taking things away from you. I'm taking things out of the way for you. You've been praying for growth, but growth requires space, and I'm making room. You've been asking for clarity, and clarity demands quiet. I'm silencing the noise. You've been seeking breakthrough, and breakthrough begins when what's been hindering is removed, even if it's painful. I know it's not easy to let go of what you've adapted to, but I promise you this: what I'm building in you cannot coexist with what I'm removing from you. I'm doing surgery on your soul, not just healing the visible wounds, but uprooting the hidden infections. And when I'm finished, you will look back and realize I didn't just protect your purpose, I preserved your future. You've misread my correction as rejection, but I need you to see what's really happening. I am shielding what I deposited inside you from becoming contaminated by what you were never designed to carry. This isn't punishment, it's preservation. I'm not disciplining you because I'm angry. I'm intervening because I'm invested. I've seen the direction you were heading, and if I had stayed silent, you would have arrived at a place that looked right to your emotions but would have cost your soul dearly. You've taken my interruptions personally, when really, they were evidence of my love. If I didn't care, I would have let you keep going. But I stopped you, blocked you, broke the rhythm, not to embarrass you, but to rescue the very thing I breathed into you before the world named you. You are carrying more than you realize. I placed something eternal inside you, something this world didn't give, and therefore cannot define. And because of that, I guard you differently. I don't let you get away with what others seem to slip through. I don't allow you to get comfortable in compromise. I don't let you blend in when you were called to stand out. You've noticed it, how things fall apart faster when you drift from me. That's not because I'm distant. It's because I'm near. You feel conviction quickly because your heart belongs to me, not to the world. I won't let you go too far without pulling you back. And sometimes, pulling you back means letting things fall apart that you tried too hard to hold together. Sometimes it means letting a plan fail so that a promise can live. You thought I was punishing you by letting that door close. But what you didn't see is that behind that door was a future that would have cost you the very fire I've been fanning inside your soul. I'm not against your dreams. I'm just more committed to your destiny than your comfort. I see the version of you that's fully alive, fully healed, fully surrendered, and I will not let you settle for anything less than that. The resistance you felt, the discomfort you've endured, those were not consequences. They were collisions between my will and your shortcuts. I love you too deeply to bless a version of your life that's beneath the one I wrote for you. That's why I interrupted your plans, not to destroy your hope, but to restore your alignment. I couldn't let you marry that mindset. I couldn't let you sign a covenant with fear and still call it faith. I couldn't allow you to keep covering wounds that needed to be exposed before they infected your future. You've wept over the things I've removed, but I've wept over what would have happened if I hadn't. I've heard your questions, why me, Lord? And my answer is simple, because you matter too much to be left to chance. You're not random. You're not just surviving. You are a key piece in a divine sequence that is unfolding. I've planted destiny inside you, and I will protect it, even if that means allowing things to break that were never built to last. And I know it hurts. I know it feels like loss. But I promise it's grace disguised. The discomfort you feel now will pale in comparison to the glory that will emerge when you see what I was saving you from. So no, this is not punishment. This is me fighting for the future you forgot you asked for. This is me preserving the calling you didn't even know you had. This is me saying, you don't have to settle. Not when I've designed something greater. Let this be the moment you stop viewing my protection as pain. Let this be the day you start recognizing that my delays are often the loudest declarations of my love. Because I am not here to destroy your dreams. I'm here to deliver you into your destiny, and I will stop at nothing to see that through. You've been grieving silently over what slipped through your fingers, opportunities that vanished, relationships that ended without closure, time that felt wasted, and moments that seemed stolen. But I need you to hear this clearly. Nothing that left your life under my watch was meaningless. You saw loss, but I saw clearing. You felt empty, but I was making room. The pain you endured didn't go unnoticed, it was purposeful. And even though you still carry unanswered questions, I want you to know that everything that was removed had to go so what's coming can stand without compromise. I am not the author of confusion, but I do allow endings to speak when words won't. I allowed certain things to unravel, not to hurt you, but to reveal what was hidden: misalignment, disloyalty, stagnation, and things that would have grown more toxic if left untouched. You've stared at closed doors long enough, wondering what you could have done differently. But I am lifting your head now, not to look back with regret, but to look forward with revelation. I don't waste tears. I don't overlook heartbreak. And I don't remove things for sport. I remove what hinders the harvest. There are seasons where I must cut away what you've become attached to, not because you were wrong to love it, but because it couldn't go where I'm taking you. If I had let you keep it, it would have drained the joy out of what I'm about to release. You've been asking me why I let you lose so much. The real question is, why did I love you enough to protect what's ahead, even when it meant allowing the loss of what felt safe? You've been faithful even in your confusion. You held on through instability, and I honor that. But now I want you to shift your focus, not from pain to denial, but from grief to understanding. The next season of your life is going to begin explaining the previous one in ways you never expected. I'm not just bringing restoration, I'm bringing clarity. And when you see what I've prepared, you'll stop calling those losses devastation and start calling them divine redirection. You thought certain people were permanent, but I knew they were only meant to carry you a short distance. You thought that plan was final, but I had something better forming behind the curtain. It looked like subtraction, but it was preparation for multiplication. There's a purpose in the pieces, even the broken ones. I never let anything fall apart unless I plan to build something better with what remains. You're not starting from scratch, you're starting from strength. The wisdom you gained from that pain is now armor. The insight you received through sorrow is now a sword. The discernment you developed in disappointment is now a shield. You are not behind. You are rebuilt. And I'm about to place something into your hands that your former self wouldn't have known how to steward. When the next doors open, they won't require you to shrink. When the right voices enter, they won't compete with your peace. And when my timing fully collides with your readiness, you'll realize why it couldn't happen any earlier. I didn't delay to punish. I waited to protect. I waited until what's coming wouldn't destroy what I was shaping within you. So don't resent what's gone. Don't idolize what I had to remove. Bless it. Release it. And trust that I'm not done writing. I'm just done letting the wrong things stay. You've crossed into a new timeline, one where alignment replaces chaos and favor follows obedience. And yes, there will be beauty. There will be laughter again. There will be dreams resurrected, relationships redefined, visions clarified. But most of all, there will be understanding, not just of what I allowed, but of why I allowed it. And in that understanding, your peace will return deeper than before. You've been staring at the closed door, knocking until your knuckles bruised, pleading for it to open again. But I need you to step back and understand. What you perceive as rejection is actually my redirection wrapped in grace. I didn't lock that opportunity because I changed my mind about you. I sealed it shut because I haven't changed my mind about your calling. That door was never going to take you to the place I designed for your spirit to thrive. You saw potential in it, but I saw danger. You saw comfort. I saw compromise. And while you were attaching your future to that outcome, I was already building something better that requires your hands to be free from what you keep trying to reopen. It hurts, I know. You gave your energy, your hopes, your trust. You thought that place, that person, that plan were the pathway to what I promised. But I never told you to anchor your identity in that specific outcome. You mistook the door for the destination. And because of that, you've been stuck in grief over something I never meant to last. But I'm here now, not to shame you, not to scold you, but to gently pull you forward. I didn't create you to worship what closed. I created you to follow me when I move. And I'm moving now, forward, into new landscapes, into divine positioning, into a future that holds the real fulfillment, not the illusion of it. You keep asking, why would you allow me to get so close if it wasn't meant to be? And my answer is this: I was never after the outcome. I was after your heart. I wanted your trust. I wanted your obedience. I wanted your willingness to let go of what you built in your own strength so I could lead you into something that would last beyond emotion, beyond pressure, beyond human effort. I never asked you to understand the closing. I asked you to trust the hand that holds the key. You don't need all the answers to walk forward. You just need to believe that I never remove without the intention to replace, and not just with anything, but with something that aligns perfectly with your growth, your preparation, and my glory. A door you've been longing to go back through. It wouldn't bless you now. It would bind you. It wouldn't promote your purpose. It would dilute. You thought it was a right fit, but it would have stretched you in the wrong direction. You wanted it to work, but I need you to see, anything that requires you to betray who you're becoming in me is not my will. So I shut it. Completely. Irrevocably. Because your calling is too weighty to let sentimentality keep you tethered to the past. I'm not asking you to pretend it didn't matter. I'm not asking you to erase the memories. I'm asking you to surrender your attachment to an outcome I already said no to. Not because you failed, but because I have something better. And no, it won't always feel better immediately. Sometimes redirection starts with confusion. But it always ends in clarity if you stay close to me. I will show you why that yes would have cost too much. I will reveal, in time, the mercy behind the closed door. So take a deep breath. Wipe your tears. You're not being punished. You're being preserved. What I'm doing next will require your full attention, your full presence, and your full willingness to stop trying to force something I've already removed my hand from. Let go of the handle. Step away from the frame. I am leading you now, not back but forward. Into peace. Into provision. Into promises that won't collapse under pressure. That door was the end of a chapter, not the end of your story. And what I'm writing next cannot begin until you stop trying to edit what I've already closed. You've been carrying a burden I never asked you to hold, the belief that you must earn my nearness, perform your way into my affection, or be flawless before I call you faithful. But let me clear the weight from your soul. I did not choose you because you were perfect. I chose you because I love you, because I see beyond what you struggle with, and because I know the treasure buried beneath your battle. I never demanded perfection. I've only desired connection. And yet, you've been avoiding me on the days you feel weak. You've been hiding when your thoughts spiral. You've been quiet when you're ashamed. But child, I am not repelled by your imperfection. I'm drawn to it. Not because I approve of brokenness, but because I came to heal it. You've convinced yourself that I only meet you when you're strong, prayed up, cleaned up, and emotionally sound. But I meet you in your mess. I sit with you in the questions. I walk with you through the chaos. Your tears don't push me away, they pull me closer. I'm not scanning your life looking for flaws to disqualify you. I'm looking for surrender, for honesty, for willingness. You don't have to know what to say. You don't have to pretend you're okay. You just have to come. Let that be your response to every mistake, every doubt, every failure. Don't run from me. Run to me. Your presence is what I long for, not your performance. The world taught you that love is conditional. Acceptance must be earned. That approval comes after achievement. But I am not like the world. I didn't wait for you to clean yourself up before I gave everything for you. I love you at your lowest. I chose you knowing the worst. I extended my hand before you even knew how to reach for it. And I haven't changed. I still want you. Not a filtered version, not a religious version, not a version who never struggles. You, as you are right now. Tired, confused, booted, uncertain. I can work with that. I can build with that. I can move through that. You keep thinking I'm disappointed. But the truth is, I'm still here. Still pursuing. Still waiting for you to stop rehearsing your flaws long enough to realize I'm not keeping score. I'm keeping covenant. My grace isn't a reward you earn. It's a gift I give freely. And it meets you in the exact places you feel unworthy. That's why I keep whispering your name in the quiet. That's why you feel the tug to pray when you're at your lowest. That's not guilt. It's me calling you back again and again into presence. Because presence changes everything. You don't need all the answers to be close to me. You don't need a plan. You don't need perfection. You just need to show up. Sit with me. Talk to me. Even if the words are broken. Even if you don't know what to say. I'll meet you there. Every time. I'm not in love with your performance. I'm in love with your heart. The raw, unpolished, unfiltered version. The one who's still trying. Still reaching. Still hoping I haven't given up. Let me answer that clearly: I haven't. And I won't. So breathe. Release the pressure. The striving ends here. The self-condemnation must bow. You don't have to fix everything to be close to me. You just have to choose closeness. That's what I've always wanted. Not perfect people, present ones. Not religious routines, real relationship. And if you make space, even in your weakest moments, I will fill it with peace, clarity, and love deeper than you've ever known. Your perfection was never the requirement. Your presence is the invitation. You're not standing here by accident. You didn't wander into this season unplanned. Long before your name was ever spoken by earthly lips, I had already carved your assignment into the foundation of time. I didn't wait until you arrived on earth to decide what I would do with you. I knew exactly what I planted inside of you before your lungs ever took their first breath. You were set apart not when the world noticed you, but when I thought of you. My plans for your life were written before any wound, failure, or delay could try to rewrite your identity. You've questioned your timing, your place, your purpose, but I haven't. I never needed to revise the blueprint. I've been waiting for you to catch up to what I've already called true about you. There are no coincidences in your journey. Even what felt like wasted years were counted in my strategy. Even what others saw as setbacks were shaping you for the weight of what I created you to carry. You've looked around and compared your progress, wondering if you missed your chance. But I need you to understand. No one can take what I reserved for you. No mistake has voided your calling. No detour has deleted your destiny. I don't anoint you based on public affirmation. I appoint you based on eternal design. You are not a filler in someone else's story. You are the main character in the portion I've written, and the stage is being cleared for your moment to emerge. You've asked me why now, and I say because it's time. Time for the deposit inside you to come forth. Time for the words I whispered in secret to echo through your life. Time for the mantle I've placed on you to be seen, not for applause, but for impact. You were born to shift things, to break patterns, to carry something so weighty in the spirit that it disrupts what's been normalized around you. That's why your journey has felt intense. That's why the warfare has been relentless. The enemy wasn't reacting to where you were, he was terrified of where you were headed. He saw glimpses of your calling and did everything possible to distract, delay, and detour you before you discovered the truth. You were built for this. You've underestimated what I've placed in you because you've been measuring yourself by broken rulers, opinions, failures, fears. But I measure you by my intention. I measure you by the depth of what I sowed into your spirit before you ever saw the light of day. That's why I won't let you quit. That's why I've been interrupting your apathy, confronting your doubt, and stirring your hunger again. Because you're not just needed, you're chosen. And this generation doesn't need more perfection. It needs presence. It needs people like you who have wrestled in the dark and still choose light. People who have been through storms, but kept their faith alive. People who don't just quote my words, but embody them with scars, with history, with fire. So stop minimizing yourself. Stop disqualifying what I've already marked as holy. You're not running late. You're right on time. You're not unqualified. You've been prepared in places no one saw. Every night you cried, every season you endured in silence, every disappointment that made you question me. All of it has been redeemed and refined for such a time as this. And now, I'm placing a spotlight on what's been hidden. Not for your glory, but for mine. Not to elevate ego, but to release impact. Don't shrink when I open the door. Don't hesitate when I tell you to speak. Don't retreat when the pressure rises. You weren't made to survive, you were made to lead, to carry, to build. And everything in your story is about to make sense when you realize you were not only called, you were appointed for this very moment in history. And I'm walking into it with you. I know how many moments you've stared at the ceiling wondering where all the time went, wondering if the mistakes, delays, detours, and breakdowns have buried the years beyond recovery. You've looked back and seen seasons filled with regret, wondering how you'll ever catch up. But hear me now. I am not limited by clocks or calendars. What you call wasted, I call raw material. I specialize in restoring what seemed unrecoverable. I am not intimidated by what was broken. I am the God who resurrects what others walk away from. The time you believe is lost hasn't vanished. It's waiting for my touch to transform it. You've mourned chapters that didn't end the way you hoped. You blamed yourself for detours you couldn't undo. You've even resented the pace of your journey, convinced you've fallen behind some invisible standard. But you're not behind. You've been in development. What looked like standing still was me stabilizing you beneath the surface. While you focused on what wasn't progressing externally, I was strengthening your foundation internally. The time wasn't wasted, it was invested in your becoming. And now I am redeeming it. Not just by giving you new opportunities, but by multiplying the impact of what comes next. I will accelerate what the enemy tried to delay. I will compress years of pain into moments of power. I will take the time that was stolen, sabotaged, or squandered, and I will turn it into testimonies that shake atmospheres. What you thought was too late, I am declaring as right on time. Because I don't just restore what was lost, I increase it beyond recognition. You've watched others move ahead and wondered why your progress seemed slower. But I wasn't rushing you, I was refining you. I was pulling out every root of insecurity so that when your season of release arrives, you don't sabotage it from within. I was removing the residue of old wounds so that your next chapter won't be infected by past pain. I'm not just restoring what you missed. I'm redeeming the very reason you missed it. You're not starting from zero. You're starting from wisdom. From scars that have shaped your discernment. From nights that taught you how to hear me in silence. From days that taught you what matters when everything else falls apart. That's not failure. That's depth. And I can do more in 1 year with someone who has depth than in a decade with someone who only knows surface. That's why you're still here. Because I knew what I placed in you would grow roots while others only chased fruit. So let me redeem it. Let me take the ashes of your delay and breathe into them with new fire. Let me take your too late and rewrite it into just beginning. Let me prove to you that I am not just the God of restoration, I'm the God of recompense. What you lost in time, I will repay in acceleration. What you lost in delay, I will repay in clarity. What you lost in hesitation, I will repay in confidence. But you must stop calling yourself behind. Stop speaking curses over your own process. Stop letting shame narrate your past. I'm redeeming it, which means I'm reworking it for your good. And no, it doesn't mean you'll get those same moments back. It means you will receive what those moments were supposed to produce, multiplied and matured. You will need to rewind when I'm writing something better ahead. From now on, walk like time is no longer your enemy. Walk like redemption is your inheritance. Walk like you still have a full story to live, because you do. And I'm redeeming every second with purpose. You've spent nights replaying moments you wish you could rewrite, words you can't take back, decisions you wish you never made, relationships you held onto too long or let go too early. Regret has wrapped itself around your mind like a chain, whispering that what's done is done and cannot be touched. But I want to speak into that space right now, the one no one sees but me. I am not afraid of your history. I'm not ashamed of your detours. I don't flinch when you bring me your most painful memories. In fact, those are the very places I long to touch with healing so deep. It rewrites what shame has tried to preserve. You've been taught to bury your past, to move on as if those scars never existed. But I don't erase your story to redeem it, I transform it. Redemption doesn't mean pretending you were never broken. It means revealing how I've made beauty out of what the enemy hoped would ruin you. And that includes the parts you still struggle to talk about. The part of your journey that triggers silence, that floods your heart with guilt whenever it resurfaces. That's the place I want to step into. Not to judge you, but to lift you. Your regrets do not disqualify you. They do not cancel your purpose. They do not rob you of your worth. I have never asked for perfection. I've asked for surrender. And when you bring me even the messiest pieces, I don't turn away. I kneel down, take them into my hands, and begin rebuilding. Not by hiding what happened, but by rewriting what it means. I can take your "I wish I never did that" and show you how it birthed compassion you never had before. I can take your "why did I trust them" and use it to sharpen your discernment. I can even take your silence, the moment you didn't speak when you should have, and turn it into boldness forged by grace. The enemy wants you to believe that what's behind you limits what's ahead of you. But I say this to you with authority: your past has no power to define what I've destined. Yes, there are consequences to choices. Yes, you may still feel the echoes of things you can't undo. But I am the God who overrides finality. I can take what feels wasted and rework it into wisdom. I can make you a living letter that testifies not to your perfection, but to my mercy. Let go of the story shame has written. The one that says you're too far gone, too damaged, too late. Let go of the timeline you've compared to others. Let go of the standard you think you failed to meet. I don't write my plans in ink that smears when you stumble. I write them in grace that deepens with every return. Every regret is an invitation for me to reveal my ability to restore, not just externally, but at the deepest level of your identity. You are not the sum total of your failures. You are the evidence of my faithfulness. And I'm not finished. You're not defined by the part of your story that broke your heart. You're defined by the one who stayed when everything else fell apart. That's we. Still here. Still speaking. Still calling you forward. Still offering redemption that doesn't erase your past, but transforms it into the very message someone else will need. To bring it to me. All of it. I will reject it. I'll redeem it. And one day, you'll look at the part of your story that used to haunt you and realize that was the very place I built the altar of your testimony. That was where my glory chose to dwell. And when you tell it, it won't sound like regret anymore, it will sound like grace. You searched the skies for confirmation, studied the silence for patterns, and begged me for some indication that you're not walking blindly. You've asked me to show you something, anything, to prove I'm still guiding you. But hear me now. The evidence you're looking for won't always appear in the way you expect. Because what I'm doing next isn't just another sign. It's me stepping into your situation as the very fulfillment you've been waiting for. You won't just hear about breakthrough. You'll walk into it. You won't just sense that I'm near. You'll know, without question, that I am moving on your behalf in real time. I know you've grown weary watching others receive what you've been contending for. You've clapped for blessings you didn't yet experience. You've celebrated doors for others while your hallway stretched on with no visible end. You've whispered, "Lord, just give me a sign," thinking it would help you breathe again. But what you didn't realize is that you've been growing in the tension, being shaped for something bigger than outward symbol. I haven't forgotten your request. I haven't turned away from your need. I've simply been preparing the stage, not for another glimpse, but for a full revelation of what I promised you from the beginning. You see, signs point towards something, but I'm about to deliver the thing itself. I'm no longer just preparing your heart, I'm preparing your hands. Because what's coming will not be something you wonder about. It will be something you carry. And when it arrives, you'll understand why I didn't answer earlier with a flash of light or a fleeting feeling. Because what I'm releasing into your life isn't temporary encouragement, it's permanent establishment. It's not a hint. It's a holy manifestation of my faithfulness made visible. And here's the truth. You already carry more evidence than you realize. You've made it through storms that should have buried you. You survived silence that could have made you stop believing. You've endured pressure that tried to crush your hope. And yet you're still here, still listening, still seeking, still open. That, in itself, is proof that my hand has never left you. But now, I'm about to confirm what's been growing in your spirit all along. The delay wasn't denial, it was timing. And my timing is always tied to your transformation. You needed to become the person who could hold what's next without forfeiting your peace. You wanted me to show you a sign. But I'm going to show you me. Through divine reversals, through restored relationships, through unexpected provision, through clarity that doesn't come from logic, but from presence. I'm not going to whisper through clues. I'm going to thunder through circumstances. I'm not giving you another breadcrumb. I'm giving you the full table. But I need you to stop treating my silence as distance. I need you to stop measuring my faithfulness by how many outward signs you receive. Sometimes I withhold the sign because I want you to hear the sound of me rearranging things behind the scenes, the sound of me breaking chains before you even know they were forming, the sound of me preparing rooms you haven't even stepped into yet. When the moment comes, it will be undeniable. It will feel like something shifts all at once, and it won't be coincidence. It will be confirmation. Your heart will burn, not with confusion, but with clarity. Your spirit will recognize it as what I've been preparing you for all along. And it will no longer be about signs, it will be about fulfillment. So hold steady. Don't rush the process. I am not late. I am positioning everything for your recognition. And soon, you won't need to ask for another sign, because I will stand in front of you, unmistakably, undeniably, fully, as the answer. I know the quiet has been heavy, the kind that stretches across your days like a weight you can't explain. You've reached out for reassurance and felt nothing but stillness in return. You've listened for direction and received only echoes of waiting. But I need you to hear me clearly now. This silence was never a sign of my absence. It's the language of invitation, an invitation to trust me when your senses can't track me. I'm not hiding to punish you. I'm pulling you closer, past the noise, past the need for constant confirmation, into a depth of faith that cannot be shaken by temporary stillness. You've been conditioned to equate movement with progress, noise with closeness, activity with presence. But in my kingdom, stillness often precedes unveiling. Sounds doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means something is being strengthened beneath the surface. I'm not ignoring your prayers. I'm answering them differently than you expected. Not with a sudden breakthrough, but with a slower refining, a stretching of your capacity to hear me in ways that are not always loud, but are always real. You've been waiting for the next word, and I've been waiting for you to trust what I've already said. This isn't the silence of distance. It's the silence of depth. Just like roots dig deeper in darkness before a tree bears fruit, so your spirit is being rooted beyond emotion and into conviction. You are learning to believe not because of what you feel, but because of who I've proven to be. This is where real trust is born, not in the miracles, but in the mundane moments when you continue walking even when it feels like I'm quiet. And even now, when your heart wants to accuse me of forgetting you, I whisper through that ache, I'm closer than ever. I've drawn the veil, not to leave you outside of my presence, but to lead you further in. You've asked me to grow your faith, and this is how it happens, not through instant answers, but through unwavering surrender. The kind of trust that keeps saying yes without needing proof. The kind of faith that stays even when clarity hasn't yet come. This silence isn't me stepping away. It's me anchoring you so deeply in my voice that nothing external can sway your confidence again. You've wept in this quiet. You've second-guessed your prayers, your direction, even your value. But I see all of it. Every tear. Every frustrated exhale. Every whispered God, are you still here? And I want you to know, I'm not watching from a distance. I'm right here, in the middle of it with you, shaping your discernment, fortifying your patience, teaching your spirit to know me without relying on sight or sound. There is a purpose to this silence. It's making your roots unshakable. It's helping you detach from needing constant answers and instead lean on eternal truth. It's stripping away the distractions that used to feed your faith, so that your faith can now stand on its own, raw, real, and unmovable. When you come out of this season, you won't just say you know me. You'll carry me. You'll reflect me. You will recognize me in places others overlook, because you've learned what my stillness sounds like. And soon, yes, very soon, you'll understand why the silence had to be this long. You'll see what I was arranging behind the scenes. You'll realize that what felt like an activity was actually divine orchestration. I wasn't ignoring you. I was preparing something so exact that rushing it would have ruined it. And when the fullness of time comes, my voice will resound again, not in mystery, but in manifestation. And you will say, he was here the whole time. So rest your heart. I'm not absent. I'm cultivating your faith into something eternal. Let the silence do its holy work. You're not being forgotten. You're being formed. And I'm not done speaking. I'm simply letting you hear me differently now. What felt like a final chapter was never the end. It was a pause in the middle of the story I'm still writing. I know how it seemed. Everything stopped. Momentum faded. Doors slammed shut. The vision blurred. And in that silence, you assumed the worst, that the promise had expired, that your window had closed, that your calling had been buried by the weight of all that went wrong. But I need you to understand something deeply today. I am the author, not the audience. I don't leave stories unfinished. I don't abandon the narrative when it gets difficult. And I certainly don't define you by what tried to break you. You mistook the stillness for conclusion. You assumed the collapse of one thing meant the destruction of everything. But you've only seen one scene. I see the whole timeline. And what looks like the end is simply a divine redirection to a greater unfolding. I didn't take the pen from your life to stop writing. I paused the sentence, because I was preparing the next paragraph to carry more glory than the last. What I'm about to reveal doesn't cancel what came before. It completes it. You thought the delay meant denial. But I only pressed pause to protect the momentum from running too far in the wrong direction. You would have kept building something out of order. You would have tried to force something that wasn't yet fully formed. So I intervened. I let the ink dry on one part of your journey before continuing into the next. And though you didn't understand it at the time, you will soon see why the silence had to come before the shift. You haven't missed your moment. It's being redesigned. You haven't lost your place. I've been rearranging the scenery. The vision I gave you is not dead. It's being refreshed with new breath. But before you walk into what's next, I had to stop the pace that was pulling you further from what I originally intended. That's why it all slowed down. That's why certain things fell apart. It wasn't punishment. It was protection. I couldn't let you run into your future carrying assumptions I never gave you. I'm turning the page now, not with force but with intention. And as the next section begins, you'll feel the shift. It won't be forced. It won't be chaotic. It'll be like fresh wind after a long night. It'll be like light breaking through a sky you thought would stay overcast forever. And you will see how everything that felt like a dead end was actually a divine comma. A pause, not a period. A transition, not a termination. I have more to say about your life. More to reveal. More to accomplish. And what's coming will not just resume where you left off. It will surpass what you thought was possible. But here's what I need from you. Stop reading the last chapter. Stop obsessing over the pain of how it ended. Stop assuming that because the last door shut, no new ones will open. If you keep your eyes fixed on what fell apart, you won't see what's unfolding. I need your heart open again. Not halfway, not guarded. Open. Open to receive new joy. Open to trust again. Open to believe that I can restore what's been lost and surprise you with what you never knew was possible. Because I'm not just turning the page. I'm breathing life into it. I'm writing in grace where you expected judgment. I'm writing in beauty where you anticipated ruins. I'm not done. And neither are you. There are promises that haven't yet reached their fulfillment. There are seeds you sowed in faith that are only now beginning to break through the soil. There are dreams you tucked away because they hurt too much to hold. I'm resurrecting those dreams, refined and ready. This is not the end. It's the opening of something greater. So release the grief of what didn't continue. Let go of the fear that says it's too late. You are not at the end of your story. You are standing at the beginning of the next move of my hand. And this time, you will see how I make beauty out of every unfinished line. Because the pen has never left my hand, and the best chapters are still being written. The warfare surrounding your life isn't a reflection of weakness. It's a reflection of what you're carrying. You've wondered why the pressure seems greater for you than for others. Why doors you thought were safe suddenly slammed. Why emotional storms hit just as you were beginning to hope again. Why resistance has followed your progress like a shadow. And here is the truth. You've been targeted not because you're failing, but because you're anointed. There is something inside of you that terrifies the darkness, a calling, a mantle, a breakthrough for others that's been forming in silence. And the enemy has been doing everything in his power to distract you, confuse you, exhaust you, and make you believe you are underqualified. But what he couldn't stop, he tried to slow. What he couldn't break, he tried to burden. But child, what I have placed in you is not fragile. It is fire. The attacks haven't been random. They've been strategic. Not by me, but by the adversary who's been watching your persistence. Every time you didn't quit, every time you chose to believe even while broken, every time you gave me a yes when your strength said no, it exposed the real threat you are to the enemy's plans. You carry something that shakes realms. You've been entrusted with assignments that will unlock other people's destinies. And if the enemy could get you to collapse under the pressure, he hoped the chain reaction of deliverance you were meant to release would be interrupted. But what he didn't expect was that even bruised, you'd keep showing up. Even tired, you'd keep praying. Even misunderstood, you'd stay planted. I know it's been intense. I know there were moments when you questioned whether you were still chosen. I know you looked at your own life and asked, why is it so hard to simply move forward? But you're not behind. You're in battle. And you're not alone. I've dispatched help in the spirit, not just to shield you, but to remind you that this war isn't for your destruction. It's proof that what's within you cannot be ignored any longer. And now, I'm flipping the strategy. What was meant to suppress your voice will be the reason you find it. What tried to cripple your confidence will become the ground you walk on with authority. What came to wear you down will become the very thing that strengthens your discernment, multiplies your faith, and solidifies your intimacy with me. This season of resistance is not about punishment. It's about preservation. I allowed it not to break you, but to sharpen you. I allowed the fire so it would refine what cannot go with you into the next level. And while the battle has been loud, I have been louder in the spirit, fortifying your back, guarding your mind, covering your blind spots. The enemy has tried to convince you that the struggle is proof you miss something. But I say to you, it's evidence you're right on time. Right where the shaking is. Right where the oil is being pressed. Right where the power is about to be released. You are a carrier of impact. That's why the pressure came. But pressure isn't a curse, it's preparation. And what's been pressing you is about to pour out of you. Wisdom you didn't know you were gaining. Strength you didn't see forming. Glory that didn't come from ease but from endurance. What once oppressed you will now obey you. Because what I planted inside you, my spirit, my authority, my purpose, is starting to rise. So don't misread the battle. It's not a sign you're in the wrong place. It's confirmation you're on holy ground. You were born for this. And though the fight hath been fierce, it's not final. I am turning every blow into breakthrough. And when you walk out of this, you'll carry not just victory, you'll carry proof that you were chosen to carry something sacred all along. You've kept your heart clean while others misunderstood you. You stayed silent when false assumptions tried to define your story. You swallowed tears in moments where defending yourself would have been easier, but you chose peace over proving a point. And I saw all of it. I saw the injustice, the gossip, the false labels, the passive rejection. I saw the subtle ways people tried to minimize your purpose. But you didn't fight dirty. You didn't lower your standard to match their assumptions. And because of that, because you trusted me instead of taking matters into your own hands, I am about to vindicate you in a way that no words ever could. This won't be loud. It won't be dramatic. It won't be a public spectacle of revenge. Because my way is higher. My response is greater. My justice doesn't come to humiliate. It comes to elevate. What's coming for you is favor that speaks louder than every lie ever whispered about your name. The kind of blessing that can't be explained by connections, credentials, or timing. The kind of increase that makes even your doubters stop and say, surely, the Lord has done this. I'm not going to respond to their criticism. I'm going to respond to your obedience. And when I do, it will be so evident that no one will be able to take credit, not even you. You don't have to clap back. You don't have to craft explanations. You don't need to gather evidence to defend yourself. I already have the full record. Every false word, every misjudged motive, every moment you were dismissed while carrying something divine. And I am a God who vindicates quietly but thoroughly. I elevate with grace. I restore with excellence. And I position with power. When I open this next door for you, no one will be able to claim they orchestrated it. It will be clear that heaven did it, because of how gently and powerfully it unfolds. You've been through enough seasons where your integrity cost you something. Opportunities, relationship, visibility. But those were not losses, they were seeds. And those seeds have reached maturity. What you thought disappeared is about to return as harvest. What you thought you missed is about to arrive multiplied. Not because you demanded it, but because you endured well. You honored me by refusing to retaliate. You passed the test by choosing character over control. And now I'm stepping in, not just to restore your name, but to rewrite how they see you, through the lens of my hand upon your life. But here's what I want you to understand. Your vindication is not for vengeance. As for purpose, I'm not lifting you to shame others. I'm lifting you to shine. So that the very people who doubted you will encounter me through your fruit. So that the story they once distorted will become the testimony that draws them to transformation. You were never called to be bitter. You were called to be a bridge. And that's what I'm making you, not a symbol of revenge but a vessel of restoration. And yes, some people will be confused by your rise. Some will be uncomfortable with your peace. Some will try to figure out how it happened. But don't shrink to accommodate their confusion. Don't downplay what I do next just to make it easier for others to accept. You've walked through fire. Now you will walk in favor. You've been hidden in plain sight. Now I will reveal what I've been developing in secret. So keep your posture steady. Keep your heart pure. Don't chase recognition, chase me. Don't seek validation. Stay anchored in truth. Because I'm about to make you undeniable. Not through applause, not through popularity, but through an overflow of goodness that can't be argued with. That's how I vindicate. With favor no hand can stop and no lie can undo. And when it happens, you'll know it wasn't luck. It wasn't coincidence. It was me, rewarding what you did when no one was watching but heaven. You've been planning, calculating, organizing every step, thinking that if you could just figure it out perfectly, everything would fall into place. You've laid out timelines, built backup options, rehearsed scenarios in your mind over and over again, trying to stay ahead of every outcome. But child, I'm not asking you to master the details. I'm asking you to lay them down. I never required you to have the perfect blueprint. I never called you because of your ability to manage. I called you because of your heart's posture. And right now, what I need from you isn't another strategy. I need your surrender. You've worn yourself out trying to hold everything together. You felt responsible for results I never asked you to control. You've carried pressure on your back that was meant to be placed at my feet. And while your intentions were sincere, your strength has begun to leak. Because you've been moving more out of fear of what could go wrong than out of trust in what I'm about to make right. I see the way you've been trying to do it all, to protect yourself from disappointment, to prove you're capable, to guard what I've already promised to keep. But the season isn't going to shift because of your plan. It's going to shift because of your release. I know surrender is hard. I know letting go of control feels like stepping off a cliff without a guarantee of where you'll land. But I am that guarantee. And until you fully place the outcome in my hands, you'll continue feeling anxious, not because things aren't working, but because your heart is trying to manage what only my spirit can carry. You weren't built to be your own safety net. You were designed to be covered, completely, by my will. And my will isn't found in constant re-strategizing. It's found in complete alignment. Let me lead without resistance. Let me rewrite the plan you've clung to so tightly. You've been afraid that surrender means losing. But in my kingdom, surrender is where you finally start to win. It's where your peace returns, where your discernment sharpens, where your strength renews. It's where the doors open without you forcing them, where clarity rises not from pressure, but from presence. Because when you stop trying to architect your own breakthrough, you make room for the supernatural to take over. Your strategy isn't evil, but it becomes a burden when it replaces intimacy, when it becomes your refuge instead of me. You've trusted the plan more than the one who gave the promise. And today, I'm calling you back. Not to a system, but to surrender. Not to a plan, but to a posture. Knees low, hands open, heart quiet. Because it's in that stillness that I begin to move the mountains you've been trying to climb in your own strength. It's in that yielded place where I release instructions that no spreadsheet could reveal. You don't need more plans. You need my voice. And I will speak. Clearly. Powerfully. Timely. But not to the version of you that's managing everything like a crisis. I will speak to the surrendered you. The one who trusts me enough to let go of what looks safe. The one who stops measuring success by control. The one who says, even if I don't understand, I'll still follow. That's the one I can lead into places too big for performance and too holy for perfection. That's the one I crown with peace. So breathe. Lay down the checklist. Pause the projections. Silence the urge to make it happen. Come back to the altar. Come back to the place where strategy bows to sovereignty, where striving ends and surrender begins. Because the miracle you've been praying for doesn't require your perfection, it requires your permission. And I'm asking for it now. Let me take the lead. Let me do what only I can. Your next victory isn't being built through human plans, it's being birthed through complete surrender. You've looked at your recent trials and whispered, What did I do wrong? You assumed the doors that wouldn't open, the delays that kept stretching, and the tension that wouldn't break were signs of my displeasure. You measured your struggle and labeled it judgment. But let me speak this truth into your spirit. I haven't been punishing you. I've been preparing you. What felt like opposition was actually alignment. What looked like being held back was me holding you together. Because what I'm about to release in your life cannot rest on a shaky foundation. It requires someone who had been forged, not just filled. You've been placed in situations that made no sense. You felt stripped down to the core, your strength tested, your voice silenced, your confidence shaken. And I watched you press on when it would have been easier to walk away. That wasn't coincidence. It was process. Not punishment. Process. Not rejection. Refinement. You see ashes, but I see the beginning of beauty. You feel the loss, but I see what it made room for. You didn't realize it, but while you were focused on surviving, I was forming a depth in you that shallow waters could never produce. You've endured more than you thought you can bear. Not because I was absent, but because I was cultivating strength you didn't know you carried. You thought I was being silent, but I was stretching your discernment. You thought I was withholding, but I was deepening your hunger so that when the real outpouring came, you wouldn't waste it. I had to unearth the dependence on outcomes. I had to expose the hidden fears that would have fractured your next level. I had to show you that your worth was never tied to applause or achievement. And now that you've walked through the fire and didn't bow to bitterness, I can trust you with more. You're about to see the evidence of why it had to be this way. You're about to understand why I didn't remove the pressure, because the pressure revealed what religion couldn't. It showed you who I am when everything else fades. It taught you how to anchor to me when the lights go out. It formed a resilience in your faith that can't be undone by opinions or setbacks. And that kind of faith is the foundation I build promotion on. Not the kind that just wants position, but the kind that carries my presence into rooms, into systems, into lives that are waiting for light. Promotion is coming. Not as a reward for performance, but as a response to surrender. Not for show, but for purpose. And when it comes, you'll realize it's not about status. It's about stewardship. I'm entrusting you with greater because you've shown me that you won't let it own you. I'm opening doors not because you chased them, but because you obeyed when it was dark. I'm enlarging your territory not because you demanded it, but because you were faithful when it cost you everything. So don't resent the shaping season. Don't curse the wilderness. It wasn't the end. It was the proving ground. It was where I stripped away what you didn't need, where I revealed what you never knew you had. And now I am lifting you, not for attention, but for assignment. And it will be undeniable. What once looked like loss will be seen as divine strategy. What once felt like isolation will be understood as sacred incubation. This is not punishment. This is positioning. And when it begins, don't be surprised by how quickly it shifts. Don't shrink. Don't question your readiness. You've been ready because you were willing. You've been prepared because you didn't quit. And now, I will place you exactly where your voice, your presence, your story, and your obedience will release something no one else can carry. This was never about being punished. It was always about being positioned. And now, promotion is here, and you're ready. You've looked around and assumed you're late. You've seen others advance, be celebrated, step into opportunities, and quietly, you've wondered if I forgot your name. You've questioned your own timeline, believing you've fallen behind some invisible schedule. But child, let me uncover the truth you haven't seen yet. You're not behind. You're not forgotten. You're not being bypassed. You're being intentionally hidden, protected from premature exposure, kept from environments that couldn't handle what I've placed inside you, shielded until the fullness of your preparation aligns with the weight of your assignment. This season of obscurity isn't punishment, it's protection. I don't hide what I don't intend to use. I don't shield what I don't plan to reveal. But I'm not interested in momentary visibility. I'm after sustainable impact. And what I'm building in you requires a foundation so deep, so unmoved by trends or opinions, that when I reveal you, there's no storm that can uproot you. The silence you feel isn't rejection, it's insulation. I'm guarding the oil. I'm strengthening the core. I'm refining your voice so that when it echoes, it carries my weight, not your wounds. You've asked, why hasn't it happened yet? And my answer is simple, because timing matters. Because release without readiness becomes a burden, not a blessing. I love you too much to let applause destroy what obedience has built. If I had opened the doors too soon, your heart wouldn't have survived the weight. The wrong hands would have mishandled your gift. The wrong platforms would have used your voice and drained your soul. But I've been walking you through hidden spaces, sacred pruning, slow growth, not to withhold from you, but to build something that can outlast pressure. I know it's hard to watch others move while you wait, but their pace has nothing to do with your path. I'm not preparing you for popularity, I'm preparing you for purpose. And purpose doesn't rush. It doesn't compare. It listens. It obeys. It stays rooted when nothing is blooming because it knows I am never idle. I'm not just preparing the promise. I'm preparing the people, the places, the connections that will align with it. You're not missing your moment. I'm perfecting it. And when the time comes, when I say, now, everything will unfold without striving, the room will be ready. The hearts will be open. A provision will be waiting. And it will be clear that it wasn't luck. It wasn't timing, it was me. Your unveiling will be subtle. It will carry my fingerprint. The kind of release that cannot be explained by effort, only by grace. And those who once overlooked you will stand in awe, not of you, but of what I did through you. But until then, stay faithful. Keep showing up in the secret place. Keep tending to the hidden things, your integrity, your motives, your stewardship, your posture. Don't abandon the process just because it's quiet. The quiet is holy. It's where your roots go deeper than applause can reach. It's where you learn my voice without filters. It's where I give you blueprints that others won't understand until they see the fruit. So no, you're not behind. You're being preserved. I haven't skipped over you. I've hidden you so that when I reveal you, you'll stand firm, not flinch. And it won't be about proving anyone wrong. It will be about fulfilling what I whispered to you when no one else believed in it. Your silence wasn't a stop, it was a setup. And soon, the curtain will lift. But for now, let me finish the work. Because what I'm preparing in private will be undeniable in public. I know how tightly you've clung to your expectations, the dates, the deadlines, the mental calendars where you penciled in breakthroughs, hoping they would arrive on cue. I've seen the weight you've carried with every passing moment that didn't match your plan. I've heard the silent accusations buried beneath your waiting. Did I miss it? Am I being overlooked? Has he delayed too long? But let me draw you into truth. I am never behind. I don't operate on the timelines built by pressure, culture, or fear. I work in fullness. I move in precision. And right now, I'm not delaying you. I'm synchronizing you. You've been measuring progress through human milestones, birthdays, seasons, financial goals, the visible movement of others around you. And you've used those moments to determine whether I'm active in your life. But child, my ways aren't measured in months or years. They are written in eternal rhythm. And your life, your calling, your restoration, is right on cue according to the tempo of heaven. The wait hasn't been a mistake. It's been a meticulous, deliberate calibration, lining every internal growth with external release, so when it all comes together, it doesn't collapse under premature pressure. You've experienced delays that felt like denials, plans that stalled just when you thought they were picking up, conversations that began with hope and ended without explanation. But those weren't signs of abandonment. They were layers of divine rerouting, closing doors that weren't ready, pausing steps that would have pulled you off center, and creating space for timing that's not just good, but God. I'm not interested in you arriving early with half-formed character. I'm committed to you arriving ready, refined, rooted in the clarity of who you are and who I've called you to become. You've asked me to hurry. I've asked you to trust. You've demanded signs. I've offered peace. You've looked at the clock, but I've been looking at your capacity. And I need you to understand, timing isn't just about opportunity. It's about sustainability. What I'm bringing to you isn't fragile. It doesn't require constant maintenance or striving. But to receive it fully, your inner world must be settled, your identity unshaken, your pace governed by wisdom, not worry. I've seen you compare your timing to someone else's testimony, asking why they're moving, and you're still waiting. But you don't need their timeline. You need my voice. What I have for you is so tailored, so uniquely authored, that it couldn't arrive one moment sooner without compromising its fullness. I'm not building microwave miracles. I'm forming legacy, the kind that doesn't wither in storms, the kind that echoes beyond your years. And legacy takes time. But when it arrives, you won't wish it came faster. You'll see why it took exactly this long. So pause. Breathe. You are not falling behind. You are being set into place. You are not forgotten. You are being carved with purpose. You are not stalled. You are being prepared for precise release. When I act, it won't be one small shift. It will be divine synchronization. Bible. Doors. Finances. Healing. Strategy. Favor. It will all converge in such harmony that it will silence every lie you believed while you waited. And when that moment comes, you'll know. Not because it's loud, but because it fits. Like a lock turning. Like a puzzle piece snapping into place. There will be no striving. No forcing. Just flow. And that flow will be the proof that I was never slow. I was always sovereign. Always accurate. Always working behind the curtain of your understanding. So trust me. Not just with your future. Trust me with your timing. My pace is perfect. And I promise you this. When the day arrives, when everything you've been praying for unfolds in sequence, you'll look back and say, he was never late. He was exact. There were moments when you weren't looking for signs, yet my presence spoke so clearly. Not through noise or spectacle, but through stillness. In those unguarded times, early mornings, late nights, moments of quiet surrender, I whispered things to your spirit that made your heart burn with certainty. You didn't manufacture those moments. You didn't force them into existence. They came like a wave, gentle, unmistakable, holy. That was me. And though time has passed, circumstances have shifted, and pressure has tried to twist your memory, what I revealed then still stands now. You keep asking for a second confirmation, a louder voice, another open door, an outward sign, but what you really need is to return to the moment when you first knew. Not in your logic, but in your soul. When I spoke and you didn't doubt it. When you didn't need to understand everything because peace was enough. When your spirit bore witness even though your mind couldn't explain it. That moment wasn't emotional manipulation. It wasn't wishful thinking. It was encounter. And I want you to know, what I said there still carries weight here. The enemy's tactic has always been to question the original word. He did it in Eden. He's trying it with you. Did God really say that? Are you sure that was him? Maybe you misheard. But I'm breaking that lie right now. Yes, I spoke it. Yes, I meant it. Yes, it still holds. No, you're not crazy. Oh, you didn't imagine it. That moment of clarity in the secret place. It wasn't just for comfort. It was for direction. You were given instructions in peace that you've been questioning in prayer. But my voice doesn't change based on how loud the storm gets. I don't revise my promise just because you're under attack. You've been tempted to backpedal, to restructure, to play it safe because the journey hasn't unfolded the way you pictured. But what I spoke was not a suggestion. It was a word planted in your foundation, not meant to be negotiated but obeyed. Even if others don't see it, even if the timing seems strange, even if your current circumstances look like the opposite, that word was never built on external validation. It came from me, and my voice does not return void. You don't need a crowd to believe what I confirmed in solitude. You don't need another meeting, another fleece, another delay. What you need is the courage to move again based on what you already know. Faith isn't about waiting until you feel nothing but certainty. It's about holding to my voice when doubt demands your attention. I haven't stopped speaking. You've just stopped trusting what I already made clear. Come back to the place of remembrance. Come back to the altar where I first burned that word into your heart. A vision, a calling, a direction, the assignment. You knew then. And somewhere between the battle and the waiting, the clarity got clouded. But I'm cleaning the lens now. I'm restoring your sight. Not with a brand new word, but with renewed confidence in the one I already gave. You've been wondering, should I have waited longer? Did I miss it? Was that really from you? And here's my answer. Yes, it was me. Lo, you didn't miss it. Yes, I still intend to bring it to pass. But I'm calling you back into the posture you had when you first received it. The one marked by trust, not fear. By obedience, not overthinking. You don't need more proof. You need more faith. Not because I demand it, but because what's ahead requires it. And I wouldn't remind you of the original word if I didn't intend to fulfill it. That's why this memory keeps coming back. That's why you can't shake the fire, even when you feel cold. I spoke, and I haven't changed my mind. Return to the word. Believe what you heard when it was just you and me. That was real. That was divine. That was me. And I'm still waiting at the place where you first said yes, ready to walk with you into everything I whispered in the quiet. You've been feeling like you're walking blindfolded, haven't you? The ground beneath you feels new, unpredictable. Nothing looks familiar anymore. What once brought comfort now feels distant. What once with fear now appear clouded. And in the silence of your confusion, I hear your inner cries. Lord, am I still on the right path? Did I take a wrong turn? But I tell you now with all the authority of heaven, you are exactly where I have positioned you. Even when you don't recognize the terrain, even when you can't trace the steps, I have authored this moment with precision. There are turns I designed that bypass distractions you didn't even see. Detours I allowed to delay dangers that would have crushed you prematurely. You didn't miss it. I redirected it. You didn't fail. I routed you. You didn't fall behind. I pulled you aside to refuel. And though it feels foreign to your senses, it is familiar to my spirit. Because I crafted this segment of your journey with deep intent. It's not a punishment. It's a preparation. You keep asking me, why is everything changing? And I say to you, because I'm shifting the foundation beneath your feet so your roots go deeper, not wider. You don't need a map when you walk with the one who wrote the land. You don't need to understand the full picture when the painter is walking beside you. Let go of your obsession with clarity. Stop waiting for full explanations before you move. You don't need to know the whole plan to take the next obedient step. I see the way you keep looking backwards, comparing this season to how things used to be. But hear me, I'm not in the comfort zone behind you. I'm in the growth ahead of you. And that growth sometimes looks like discomfort. It sometimes feels like loneliness. It often carries silence. But silence does not mean absence. And discomfort does not mean disapproval. I am nearer to you now than you have ever realized. You want me to make it easy, but I'm making it eternal. You want familiarity, but I'm giving you transformation. You want safety, but I'm building your authority. And to do that, I have to lead you into unfamiliar territory. Because it's in the places you don't recognize that you recognize me deeper. When you can't rely on your surroundings, you lean heavier on my presence. That's where intimacy grows. That's where dependence is birthed. Don't let your unfamiliar surroundings convince you you're off course. Let it remind you that you're on holy ground. Abraham had never seen the land I promised, but he walked toward it anyway. Moses had never split a sea, but he raised his staff in faith. Joshua had never seen a wall fall by a shout, but he obeyed every command. You don't need to know how it ends to trust that I've begun it. I'm calling you out of shallow faith. I'm breaking every idol of certainty. I'm dismantling your need for control. Because this journey isn't about performance. It's about partnership. I don't need you to figure everything out. I need you to follow me anyway. I need you to walk with me when the lights are dim. I need you to trust my voice more than your fears. This unfamiliar path is not leading you into danger. It's pulling you into destiny. Keep walking. Keep showing up. Keep believing, even when your feet tremble. Because just ahead, past this strange land, beyond this dry place, is a table I've prepared. A place with your name on it. An encounter waiting to shift everything. But to get there, you must walk this stretch you don't understand. And I'm not asking you to do it alone. I'm walking every step beside you. I know you're tired. I know it's confusing. I know the silence has been heavy. But you are not lost. You are not behind. You are not abandoned. You are chosen, and chosen ones are often led down roads few dare to walk. So trust me. Keep going. You're closer than you think. And everything about this strange road has been lovingly written by my hand. You may have wondered why certain doors remain locked no matter how hard you knocked, why some people vanished from your life without closure, why things you believed were for you kept slipping through your grasp. But now, I want you to grasp this truth. Not everything you desired was aligned with the greater outcome I was preparing for you. Every rejection was redirection. Every unanswered cry was protection. I was shielding you from hidden traps you couldn't see. What looked like delays were divine reroutes. When they dismissed you, I was setting you apart. When you felt invisible, I was making you untouchable to those who couldn't honor the worth I placed within you. I stepped in where you didn't even realize danger was looming. My spirit blocked paths that would have stolen your identity. You thought I was silent, but I was busy working behind the scenes, turning down the volume on lies so you could finally hear my truth. I know you questioned the timing. I know it frustrated you. But child, your tears were never wasted. Every night you fell asleep confused, I stood watch and whispered, "Trust me, the right time is coming." And now, it's no longer a matter of waiting, it's a matter of aligning. You must come into agreement with what I've already declared. You can't afford to entertain distractions that look holy, but lead nowhere. I'm not in every opportunity. I'm only in what I've breathed into. Don't chase glitter. Listen for glory. The counterfeit always comes before the genuine. And yes, it's going to look similar. That's why I need you to discern not with your emotions, but with your spirit. You don't have to force what's truly yours. I am confirming things through peace, not pressure. You'll feel rest, not rush. You'll feel settled, not scatter. You'll be certain, not confused. I have removed the need for striving because what I've ordained is responding to my voice, not your hustle. So slow down and tune in. I am revealing things to you in the stillness that movement would have kept you from seeing. I'm opening your eyes to people's intentions, to hidden motives, to silent agreements that were draining you behind the scenes. You won't have to fight to be seen. I'm positioning you where you will be celebrated, not merely tolerated. And the resources you thought you lacked, I'm releasing them through unusual means. Unexpected emails, random messages, divine connections. It's already in motion. What you were chasing will start chasing you. What used to ignore you will now request your presence. But stay grounded. This is not a time to get caught up in ego. Remain anchored in purpose, because pride will rob you before the promise arrives. Be humble enough to give me credit. Be wise enough to stay hidden until I reveal you. And don't explain your season to those who were never assigned to walk beside you. Not everyone deserves access to your process. Protect what's growing. Guard the oil. Stay in the secret place. I will raise you up in public after I finish molding you in private. And it's happening quicker than you think. Acceleration has begun. Don't sabotage this moment with doubt. Keep your heart soft. Keep your hands clean. Stay obedient even when it doesn't make sense. I am still the God who brings water from rocks, manna from skies, and healing from the very thing that tried to break you. Watch me make beauty from ashes, victory from ruins, and purpose from pain. This is your turnaround point. The things that made you cry will soon be the reason you praise. Stay faithful. The curtain is about to rise. Amen.